We have a nice spread of people from around the world. Welcome to our session on sustainable livelihoods, projects working with that and the environment, communities. As chair of SDIA, I just want to welcome you, let you know that we're really proud to have lots of great project members around the world all working hard to support their local communities in some important way. The 4 projects that we are highlighting today are all doing remarkable things in their local communities. And I'm going to let them speak for themselves. The first one up is Daniela Bustillo from Yayasan Usaha Mulia, and she's going to be talking about a project in Kalimantan. Welcome, Daniela.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to share a bit of the work we've been doing. This project that we started in 2017 was born from the need or from the observation that agriculture in Kalimantan is very difficult. The soil conditions and the climatic conditions are very difficult. But and we had been doing the home garden project for a few years already with organic practices. However, if you'd look around after fires or after deforestation, we could see that the natural vegetation would grow very quickly. So start thinking about it and wondering why is that possible? So we started studying it, doing research, and little by little, we started a project of agroforestry with trials in Hume Research Center, and it kept going. It was self-funded by Hume until we had some results. And once we had some results, then we went to the next step, which was to share with the community, which is now this project that currently we've started with Susila Dharma Germany, that has the support of BMZ. And we working with 10 farmers. It's still a pilot project because now after we try at the research center, we go then into the village and we are working with 10 farmers. So we are collecting data, we are assessing, we are currently doing a manual. So then the next step then is to do training at larger scale to the farmers of Bukit Batu. We are collecting important experience and information to include in the manual. Very briefly, I mean, this story is long because it started in 2017. We've had quite a few difficulties, gain experience, and always the purpose was to understand why was possible to have natural vegetation growing so well in the regeneration process. So what we did was we used the land in Lyon, and we started interplanting our productive species amongst the natural species. What happens is that the natural species, this has all to do with soil life and the process of regeneration that is synchronized so that the different stages, they evolve and they help each other. The plants help each other in a way. I mean, this is a simple way to put it up. So by interplanting our productive species within the natural regeneration species, they also benefit from the activity in the soil, from the all the, how to say? Yes, all the interchanges that are happening in the soil with the local microorganisms. We also included we prune also. We do active pruning. So the pruning, what happens when you prune the plants is they activate more the system in the plants. So, and that activates soil life again. Now we are working, like I explained, and the main goal of the project is to create a sustainable model that we can share locally. The conditions here are very different from everywhere else. So that is essential. Everything we have researched through the years about best practices has been adapted to local conditions. On the left is already one of the participants of the project. So these are just some photos to show. We started this year. This is a 1-year-long project. The results are positive. What we make sure is to share knowledge about the climate is changing. How can we adapt? Why is important to have soil life? This is a concept that people don't understand or locally yet. We then talk about organic, and we have also, because the conditions locally are so difficult and chemicals have been used for so long, we are looking into semi-organic as well once we want to go at large scale, because the environment is already very degraded. We discuss soil types. We talk about what type of crops grow in each type of soil. We have a specific design for cash crop plantation, which is intensive crop. You say that? Intensive cropping. We also work with the part of the training is to talk about finances, cash flow, so people can have an idea about how much money they need to invest, offset then the costs for the fruits. And we include best practices, mainly mulching, wood vinegar that has been successful, trichoderma, and also microorganisms, biochar. And we started also doing ecoenzyme, but it's still in process. We're still in process to find the best type of ecoenzyme, which mainly we want to use, as it's explained in the about ecoenzyme, is helps to clean chemicals from the soil. So for each participant, we check the land. We work out the design. There are specific sizes for beds, a specific layout that follows the sun circuit. The people learn how to measure the pH, what they should do, how to make biochar. We always advise to choose cash crops that are easily maintained. There is let's say the core building block of this model is a series of beds, like 6 beds, and then they are surrounded by fruit trees like papaya, the easier ones. How do you say this? The fastest, the ones that will produce fruit faster, and also will produce. We also plant a lot of banana trees to produce a lot of organic matter to incorporate back into the soil. So, and these are the participants. There are 5 women, 5 men. So here are some statements from the evaluation of the project. The lady on the left, she's very, very happy with the knowledge that what she has learned during the project about why plants need certain types of conditions about soil life. They like because it's a group, so they help each other. For example, the men will do the wood vinegar, and then the women and give it also to the women because it's harder to do. The lady on the right, she also likes very much the project because she understands now what is fertility and how to keep the fertility of the soil. And I thought it was sweet. She said she's very happy every time she opens the window. She sees all all the vegetables she's growing and how varied they are. They really understand now about how to check the pH, and they are very happy with wood vinegar as organic pesticide. The lady Rosalie, she was this was a specific case that was very interesting. Before we started this project with them, the government had a program for the farmers to plant fruit trees. So they brought a bulldozer, they bulldozed the property, they plant the fruit trees in a certain area, and then they left. Nobody had, everybody was very happy with the fruit trees. In the case of Ibu Rosalie, she said she just planted a few on another side, and she didn't even take care of them, was in a place that had not been bulldozed. And this was interesting because when we did the drone photo from the top, we could specifically see how better developed were the trees amongst the natural regeneration that she hadn't really taken care of, and what had happened to the fruit trees that were in the area that was bulldozed and all, clean, as the way it's explained. So this was very helpful because they really could see the proof that actually we don't need to do deep research, we don't need to clean the land. Usually the tradition here is people clean the land means cut off everything. So the concept of having plants around that help to keep the moisture, to protect from the intense sunlight, and to help with the root system underground for improving soil life was a very visible example. Then Pa Marzuki, he's from Java. He's been doing agriculture all his life, but now he was saying it's so much neater. He gets so less work because in the same area he gets a lot of vegetables. They had land that was idle, and now they are using. They in general appreciate. We continuously give technical support. If they have problems, we discuss, we facilitate meetings for people to share their experience. And one reality, the main challenge again is the pests, because like I explained, the environment has been already so degraded that is very hard. So, but what has been very positive is that from the experience of this project, we have now solutions how to improve what has been difficult. And yeah, that's the other two last participants. They hope they will express that they hope that we can expand this project to share knowledge with more farmers, and they appreciate we keep, we are present. So whenever there are difficulties, they can, communicate, ask for technical advice. So I'll stop sharing. I don't know, do you have any questions or do you want to look at any photos that have been, is this okay?
Yes, I do have a question. Do you mean to say, because in the beginning you mentioned the former project where people made their own home gardens and things were overgrown with weeds and so on, does it mean that the former project is more or less dysfunctional and you started something else on bigger patches? And I don't quite understand. I mean, I see here big patches of land. Who do they belong to? And or have farmers combined lands? And I don't understand because it's such a different scale, it seems.
It is. The initial project was home gardens, was just a small piece of land, 8 beds near the houses, small beds. And that's what we worked in. It was mainly women that wanted to take care of the children, to do the vegetables. And there are some still doing. With time, mostly changed the population here is always changing. People travel, people go to different places. It's a very, how do you say? It's not a stable population. So many of those people that learned about the organic methods, they left, they changed, they moved villages. But during COVID, what was very reassuring was that when there was COVID, and we offered subsidized seeds and manure and poly bags to those that wanted to plant at home. And about 360 of the former participants of the home garden projects, they did for during COVID time lockdown. They restarted and they did vegetable growing organic at their places with the subsidized, so they could have food for the families. Now this is another project. What we use is the knowledge from the previous project, everything that we practiced, best practices, that is the to make microorganisms, the use of mulch, the use of trichoderma, the best practices that we researched and we implemented during the home garden project are still being used, and they have been transferred to this project. This project is a combination. It's more intense. It's to do with climate adaptation, and it's for farmers that wish to do this at larger scale. The beds that we have, it's 6 beds, around 7 meters each bed. So yes, correct. The area is much, much bigger. The system is more efficient though. We've learned from the home gardens, and now the system we do is intensive cropping in an hexagonal pattern. And we use the vegetation existing around to help the vegetation that is being planted. The main cash crops are surrounded by banana trees, by papaya trees, by lemongrass and pineapple, which is fast, let's say, medium. So we have the cash crops, which are 3 months, you can have some income. Then we have the medium term, which is banana trees, papaya, and lemongrass, pineapple, which is about 3 years, 2 to 3 years. And then on the other level, then there are fruit trees. If the people wish to plant, and we advise usually cherukmanis, which is a type of local mandarin. We also advise rambutan, but that's another step. We'll leave that for another time. We're also going into vanilla. After many years of research and trials, we've finally been successful in reproducing and having vanilla produce the pods.
Yes, Daniela, this sounds wonderful. And I heard that lychees are also, good to sell. And now you mentioned rambutan. And then another thing, I don't remember properly if in Kalimantan you have a season all the year through, and not only 1 or 2 or 3. It means things grow all year through, or in the rainy season less, or when do they grow less, or how would you judge this?
We are focusing, after also much research on different species, we're focusing on pineapple. Pineapple is all year round. And rambutan, which is like the God gift for Kalimantan, is rambutan. That's twice a year. Rambutan actually is not sold in the market because it's everywhere has a rambutan.
Everywhere.
It's rambutan season, everybody's giving rambutan to everybody. And I kept saying, "Wow, can't we use the rambutan? Let's do something with the rambutan." So that's now, yeah, there is a challenge on that, because it's the seed. To decor the fruit is a bit difficult, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I have faith.
Good. Thank you very much, Daniela, for explaining more.
Thank you,
Yes,
Daniela.
Daniela, I have a short question on the presentation or on the photos. I do not see peatland trees. Are they in the progress of growing, or where are the trees? I see only the plants and the crops and cash crops, but not really trees. On some areas, yes, but not mostly not.
I'm sharing now. I'm sharing the thing. So you see around here, they're like banana trees. You cannot see them.
I can see them.
Can you see banana trees? Now, this is a long process, and the trees are still very small. So they focus first on the how do you say, on the cash crops, because Victor, we started this project. They started planting in the middle of. So we started the training around a quarter into the year. So the training takes about 2 or 3 months. Then we started planting just before the dry season. So it's too early to see the fruit trees. And because it's quite demanding.
I do not mean the fruit trees. I mean really big trees. You are normally agroforestry is built in a forest, and our new project, I think, will be on peatland, and there are big trees, but these are more fields and not many trees. Maybe fruit trees, but I thought it were really big trees from the peatland.
So it's 2 different things, Victor. One thing is we do agroforestry. It means agroforestry itself means a combination of plants and trees, which is what we have, and it can be done. Like in Hume, we had reforestation higher, so we used what we had there. Here, the land is pretty much open, so it's like build up a system similar to a forest. Yes, so that's why I say this module, you have the cash crops, because the cash crops will give you the initial income, and around the cash crops you have fruit trees. Yes, and this is the idea, to reproduce a more varied system of different heights as a forest. In this case, it's a very small scale yet still, because it's starting. And because we only started, what you see
Yes,
is the
it
now,
takes more time than 1 year. We are just starting with the pilot project, yes.
yes.
Maybe it takes
Now,
1,
the
2,
other
3, 4 years.
Yeah, the other part that you say peatland and forest, it's the new project that we are working on for community forest and training of farmers. So the new project has two components. One is the peat swamp forest. That is the one in kilometer 40 something or 50 something, where you have we already did the study. But also keep doing training of farmers in their land. So it's two separate things on the same project. Does this answer your question?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Virginia, you have your hand up.
Yes, sorry, Daniela, just a quick question, because at Congress, you initiated us into thinking about social enterprise, and now we can't stop thinking about it. But I know that some of the inputs, it seems like some of the inputs in this organic agricultural system could be maybe labor intensive for the farmers to produce. I don't know if it's complicated to produce the wood vinegar or biochar. Do you think there's a market for production of these organic fertilizers and pesticides on a larger scale? And is that something that you might be interested in developing?
I think the economy here is quite simple, and the people can do easily. The biochar is only needed once a year, so it's not demanding. And the wood vinegar, what we were discussing is that we are going, so the wood vinegar unit itself, it's a specific infrastructure. So because the follow-up of this project is to train farmers, but how to say, they have to do their own for effort and investment. We could, from the project, allocate a wood vinegar unit in each kelurahan, in each village, to be run by the community or by the group of farmers. That is what we've been thinking now, because that's the way it's being done in Habaringurung, in the village that we presently are working with 10 farmers. Is they build together with the assistance of trainers and staff. We built the shed and the wood vinegar tool. I mean, it's complicated. And then now they run it. Yeah. So we set in place, we facilitate. So there is a meeting, we discuss how this should be used, what are the rules. Everybody everybody makes up the rules together, so everybody follows. There is a person in charge. They also made a group. They're going to be a legal group of farmers that can also receive assistance from the government. So we're facilitating these processes.
Thank you very much, Daniela. I'm sorry to move on, because it's really interesting just even being able to focus on one project, but we would like to invite Michelle Ofried from Fuegos in Ecuador to speak about the project that she is involved with there.
Thank you, Vincent. It's been fascinating to hear from Daniela. And I was asked to first greet you all. It's wonderful to be here and to feel the support of so many people. Like Vincent said, my name is Michelle. I've been living in Ecuador for 53 years. And Fuegos is on the coast, which is not where I live. It's right on the Pacific in a very beautiful place. It's been wonderful that some of you have been able to come to visit us. And in spite of its physical beauty, it's a place with a lot of problems, more so than ever right now. Problems of violence, of drug gangs, particularly of youth who are entering one or the other of drug groupings and killing off each other. So it's what we try to do in Fuegos, very much one of our missions is to give these youth that are at risk other kinds of possibilities for their lives. And we do it in a sustainable way because we use food for change, comida para el cambio. And that change is against narco groups, but it's also against the prevalent forms of growing things and also consumption patterns. Now, as you know, we all deal with food every single day. Some of us maybe don't have enough, speaking of the world, but food is something that is so basic to everyone. And the way it's being grown is bringing about more and more climate crisis. So what we have been able to do is in the restaurant that we have, we try to buy only from small farmers who are local. In general, we try to use only local foods, which means going against the repercussions of some of the US policies of dumping wheat on countries like us. So we're dealing with different forms of carbohydrate, which are not imported. And these are forms of starches that people have always liked, and they're available locally. So during the pandemic, during the COVID, people were able to realize how eating locally made a difference, and they could do it, where needing to eat from stuff that was imported was impossible for them. So they kind of got a feel of one of the basic missions of Fuegos, which is to eat locally and to eat well locally. I think you know I'm a nutritionist, so something that we have been doing, and this is thanks to Susila Dharma, is offering to women in many different areas, in fact, in 4 counties, to be able to grow their own kitchen gardens. Now, these kitchen gardens are very small, and it's been part of the traditional practices anyway, of having them raised on stilts, because there are moments of the year when everything gets flooded. So these women are now, thanks to our project and some wonderful people who are working out in the communities, these women are now going back to the tradition of raising their own, particularly herbs and tomatoes. You probably know that tomatoes in the entire world are the source of most, go beyond the limits of toxins that are permitted. So we've got these women who, when we began the project, it was a small group of women in different restaurants in the area. Well, when other women saw what was going on, they came and they wanted to learn about it. And now it's really blossomed. And those women, once they're growing their own fresh things, are getting together all on their own. We didn't even set this up, to make salads together. So because these products grow so quickly, we've got people eating stuff they wouldn't have eaten otherwise. And of course, we get to train them about why it's healthy for your body to eat fresh things, because it's very easy to eat a lot of rice with palm oil, right? And that's what kind of happens unless people realize the need for fresh things to bring up your autoimmune responses. So the impact, I think, has of of those kitchen gardens has really spread and continues to spread. The women get together and they share seeds of local herbs that we had no idea of. Now, the techniques that they use to grow, we have somebody who trained herself and is now a trainer in agroecology. So we're not doing anything for sale, because these are small plots. But with agroecology, all of the people are learning why it's important not to do the kind of agriculture that the men do, which is usually in terms of coffee and chocolate. Lagos also has an innovation center. And in that center, we develop new products, making use of, for example, the shells of both the cacao, the chocolate, and the coffee. We have some new products out on the market that do not have our name at this moment because we aren't well organized to be able to do that part of it. But we have come up with the products, and we're hoping we can find Ecuadorian business people who would like to invest in doing these products that make use of everything. In the restaurant also, I wanted to tell you, we do something that's done gastronomically by very sophisticated chefs all over the world now. Well, the most advanced ones at least. And what they do is they make use of products, for example, of a fish that would usually be thrown out. So it's again against zero waste. We had a wonderful weekend with an NGO, a nonprofit from Quito that came down here, where they created two days food out of what had been given to us from all of the neighbors. At that moment, there were a lot of grapefruit, and there was also a lot of a prehistoric fish, which is called chame. And they made a pate out of the livers of that fish, which was absolutely wonderful. Now, nobody has ever thought of eating the liver of that fish. Also in the restaurant, our students learn that if somebody asks for Coca-Cola or whatever, they will never get it at a restaurant. And we only use glass in the bubbly bottled water that comes. So in many different ways, we're trying to be sustainable, particularly in relation to where we get our products and how those products are grown and how we consume them. Now, I don't know if there are some questions.
Oh, yes, but maybe there's somebody first. No, I find it interesting what you say, what you can produce from the coffee shells and the cacao shells. And could you give an example here?
Surely, cookies. Now, of course, the whole cookie doesn't come from that, but it can also come from the starch of yuca, of cassava. But adding all of those shells, which adds fiber, adds flavor, and makes it very intriguing.
Oh, yes, for flavor. That sounds good. Yeah, interesting.
Also come up with different kinds of flavored teas, to put it in a bag using those shells.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Hi, yeah. Sorry, my camera doesn't work, but I'm a bit intrigued. I don't know. My English is absolutely bad, so I'll just try to go along as it works.
I'm hearing you perfectly. No.
Thank you, Michelle. I am interested in learning more about planting, producing vegetables, salads, everything that can provide a community or a couple of people even. And I'm in Germany. So I'm not somewhere out there, but I'm in Germany, and listening to all what I've heard until now, a bit confused because my Wahrnehmung, my
understanding,
Dankeschön, René. My understanding is like SD is helping countries in somewhere way apart from Germany to produce sustainable livings and stuff. But I'm sitting in Germany and I'm like, could you help me produce sustainable living in Germany? Like, I think maybe in this crazy world we have right now, maybe it's just important to share knowledge. Yeah, we've accomplished in the last 20, 30, 40 years of Susila Dharma working in this world, not only for countries way, for me in Germany, way abroad, but also for countries in Europe and in countries which normally, yeah, in the last 20, 30, 40 years were quite stable. I'm sorry, I'm just chatting along, but for me it's a bit I'm a bit confused with
Helena, may I interrupt you because I just think how you could explain it, or because Germany is a country that has people have enough to eat. Some are poorer than others, but they don't eat good food. That is the thing, because they eat garbage food, would we say, or they live on pizza and pommes frites. So
yeah,
they should also have a chance. I mean, a country like Germany, a chance to learn about proper gardening and eating. And we do have in schools, there are some efforts the teachers make, but it's difficult with the full curriculum to fit that in. And what is happening during holidays, then some of the parents or somebody who's not going away has to take care. So it's everything is connected with a big effort to do something here, and we don't have the land like maybe other countries are poor, but they have the land. So
yeah,
but Helena maybe thinks that we could have small initiatives in Germany, but that, Helena, is something you could start. There's nobody preventing you from doing this.
No, danke René. Danke René.
Yeah.
You really helped me. But for me, it's just the question: could we find a database or something where people, even in Germany, can learn from everything that SD has earned so much knowledge of how organic farming or organic.
No, maybe you mean, and that this is maybe a good idea to put together a manual of all the different experiences, because if I see that in Kalimantan it rains almost all year through, and in India they're living on rainfall, which is scarce, and so the experiences in different climate zones and in different segments of societies, how are they doing? How is the endurance, mainly also of keeping going, after a successful start? Sometimes people think, oh, this is too much, I better continue to buy my vegetables in the market, even if it's a low food. So I think there's so much to learn from there's so many years of Susila Dharma already, where we have seen things, we have seen projects arise and projects go, and then and rise somewhere else. Or when Daniela says that the project participants are poor people, are not stable also in their living. I mean, they move around, they move for better occasions in their lives and so on. So there's so many interesting aspects to this work.
Yeah. Renee, I'm sorry to cut you off, but Michelle actually has to leave very soon.
Okay.
So I just wanted to direct the questions more specifically to Michelle and what we can learn from her project. I'm sure there are good things that we can discuss at another point about what you're asking, Helena, and I don't want to ignore that, but I do want to kind of
I'm sorry,
capture what
Michelle. Yeah.
Michelle can share now.
Sorry, Renee was just trying to help me. I was just asking for maybe the essence of everything SD has experienced in the last couple of years,
Yeah.
10, 20, 30 years. It would be wonderful, even for people in Germany, to learn from it, because I think it's getting more important in the next couple of years. Thank
Could
you.
I just suggest, Vincent, that I think it would be good if we organized a separate session on that, because many people are extremely excited to draw from these project experiences, things that they can do in their own environment, not starting a project, but just in their daily lives. I know that I learned from Yum and Michelle's Project Fuegos that I should be more responsible for reducing my food waste. And I got myself some chickens on a very small piece of land that I have. But they're happy to live off my food waste, and they give me every day each an egg. These girls are fantastic. They're beautiful girls. I love them. I kiss them every day, and they're the happiest chickens I've ever seen. But not to go into that right now, but I hear what Helena is saying, and I think we need a separate session to share what we can do in our daily lives, because that will make us all feel more empowered. Thank you, Helena.
Yes.
Michelle, is there anything that you would like to share about what you're learning from your project that you would like to be able to, I don't know, move into more or change?
I think more than anything is realizing how women are empowered in leadership roles through something so simple and concrete as having only one or two very short classes about eating vegetables that they grow themselves. It's amazing to see how they in this area of the country, particularly where men make all decisions, how those women step forward and take a lot of initiative. In general, here the male's role is to bring in money, but that money doesn't buy them healthy food. So the women are able to operate on a different level. And it's thanks to very simple project, like the project of these traditional raised gardens.
Thank you. Yeah, it sounds really wise. I've often seen from Susila Dharma projects around the world, which is really wonderful to witness, is how the imbalance of power is shifting towards women. I mean that the Susila Dharma projects are involved in an important way of redressing this imbalance. And it's really encouraging to know that there are opportunities like that. I think the more we can have, the better.
Yes. Great, Michelle.
So it's been wonderful to be with you.
Yeah.
I get a chance now for the first time since I had a metal shoulder installed for the first time to get to be with our students. And I'm really looking forward to it. And they're waiting for me, and I can't stand to keep them waiting much longer.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so
Wonderful
much.
to be with you.
Yes.
Wonderful to be with you all.
I'm just
Because
wondering
you listen so carefully about what we can do.
If, like Helena, there are others who want to join a session about putting this into practice in their own lives, maybe you can put your email addresses into the chat and we will be able to come back to you. That's anyone who feels strongly that that is exciting for them. We will organize a session on this topic, which is so important.
That's wonderful. And also to realize that these are ongoing processes. I've kind of had this mindset for the last 20, 30 years. And almost every week, there's something new that I realize I should be doing. So this isn't just for somebody who's new about this. It's something we're all involved in.
Could I ask one question?
Yes.
Earlier this year, you put out a fundraising plea for the restaurant because you didn't have enough money to fetch in girls from areas where there was a lot of violence to stay for a few months and work in the restaurant and learn about how to make their own when they go back home. Do you still need money for that?
These students that are waiting for me, there are 10 of them now. And part of that group is thanks to Susila Dharma's support. We always need more money. Always, always. I think that's the position of all of these groups that are trying to make a difference. But we're continuing on. So thank you all very much. By the way, they're not only women. It's a mixed group, which we find very important because everybody eats and everybody should be involved in cooking, cleaning up the whole thing. So we have a very inclusive kind of school that we go. And the plea wasn't for the restaurant. The plea was for the school, where there's a 7-month training going on right now.
Yeah.
And then people can go back to their own communities, or a lot of them now are accepting jobs in places out of the area because food from Amavi, food from this area, where we have been able to help it be realized on a global level how extremely good it is. And that is true. Gastronomically, the food from Amavi is out of this world. And now in Italy and in Spain and in other places, people are realizing that. We've sent our chef to create food there with Ecuadorian ingredients. So, you know, this is part of a very big movement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I have to
Michelle.
leave now. Thank you.
Much love to you.
Love to you, Vincent,
Bye-bye.
and everybody.
Bye.
So, yeah, fascinating, really. It's hard to have such short time with everybody. We are going to move on. I was looking for Bardolph on the screen, but I can't see him. So I'm wondering, are you here, Bardolph? Or shall we
I
go
think so.
to... Oh, there
I
you
think
are.
I'm here.
Beg your pardon.
He's
Excellent.
there.
No,
I've
Hooray.
been
Barbara.
lurking. I've been lurking.
Vincent,
Yes.
sorry. Before we continue, could we just take a very, very quick break for our interpreters to hydrate and go to the bathroom?
Sure.
Just don't want to have them there speaking all the time. So if we can
Yeah.
just take a very, very short break, we'd really appreciate it.
Okay, short break, everybody.
Everyone hydrate and go to the bathroom.
Bardolph Paul, we're very pleased to have him here. He's part of a project in Kalimantan, which has been going for many years. Yayasan Tamboak Sinta. It has a remarkable track record of working with local communities in the Dayak villages to develop all sorts of projects that really stem from the needs of each of those groups in agriculture, in artisanal mining and crafts, education you support. I can't think of other things, but I know that there are lots. So
I'll tell
here
you
he is.
soon. I'll share with you soon.
Here's Walt Bardolph. Thank you for joining us.
Okay. Isidro, you're going to share the screen?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, great.
Just
So
tell me.
I've been asked to introduce myself, but we can go to the next slide, which is about YTS. YTS has been around for nearly 30 years. I came 6 years after it started. So this is how it started. It was a group of Dayaks and also Mansur Geiger from the company got together and created YTS because they realized that they needed to have a vehicle for benefiting from any resource extraction. Next one. So this is our vision, and I think it's important. I'm trying to frame what we do because we do have quite a ambitious scope for what we're trying to do, and also we have a very long time horizon. So we're not a project-bound organization. It's more programmatic. So this is what we want to foster. So we're looking at society as a whole, running on good governance and keyword sustainable, economic, environmental, and social, cultural development principles. And the values for us are very important, because generally the values are material, and we really want to foster human values and be guided by the grace of Almighty God. And we're quite upfront about this. We say this to everybody, and of course, it's not a problem in Indonesia. So we also haven't confined our work just to Kalimantan. We've worked all over Indonesia, in Sumatra and Java, Lombok, Eastern Indonesia, also in Sulawesi. But our main focus is on central Kalimantan. Next slide. And here's, and central Kalimantan, we've worked again quite widely. In most of the regencies, most of the districts in the province, we've been active in one way or another. Next one. And we have our main focus, which is related to the mining prospect. So currently working in 32 villages in 2 separate districts. So 23 in one and 9 in the other. Plus, we also work in a district close to Palangkaraya, which is mainly peatland, called Pulang Pisau, and in Bukit Batu, where Daniela just gave her magnificent presentation. So altogether about 38 villages. So it's quite a wide scope that we have. Next one. And we have this development structure framework that we're interested in change. So we have a change theory, and we have these 6 components: governance, education, health, livelihood, culture, infrastructure, with these environment and gender kind of cross-cut everything. So they're involved in health, they're involved in education, as well as in livelihood. Next slide, please. And the other thing is that we work very closely with government and with the private sector. So we see that it's essential that these 3 key players collaborate, work together, synchronize their programs and their spending, and are on the same page when it comes to the development agenda and also how to proceed with development in the province. Next one. So we have 3 different areas, which are kind of divisions within YTS. The first one, the largest one, which is related to the company, is this community empowerment program in 32 villages in fairly remote areas. And all of them are Dayak villages. Next slide. Second area we work in is in Bukit Batu. We have an agro-business focus. So we really are looking at the commercialization of agriculture by smallholders. And also we work in peatland, with peatland restoration in another district, which is, it's quite challenging. Next one. And the third area is just small-scale gold mining. And the big problem there is mercury. There's like, in Indonesia, 400 tons of mercury is released into the environment every year. So it's a massive issue throughout the country. And last, we have this education program, which is providing scholarships and also bringing students together to share their issues and problems, and also to educate them about environmental issues. So last year we had 134 students that we provided scholarships throughout the areas where we work. So the big question of this session is to do with impacts on livelihood. So one of the big livelihoods is one of the most environmentally destructive, which is this artisanal and small-scale gold mining. Up to 80% of the people that we work with do this as their principal livelihood. So this woman who we just saw, Lenny, she heads up a group of women in a village called Tewan Pajangan, which is north of Palangkaraya, some distance, and they do gold panning. So that it's very, very low impact gold mining, and they don't use mercury to extract the gold. So she's demonstrating this technique to other people. She's become a trainer, and it's called direct smelting. So it's just using intensive heat to release the gold from the ore. So I mentioned about peatlands. So we've done a number of things in peatlands. Our focus is really on livelihoods primarily. It's a research project looking at peatland restoration. So one of the items we work with is called burun, which is like a reed that grows in peat. And next slide. So people harvest this reed. This is how they do it. They cut it, and they bundle it. And the next slide, haul it by water through the peatland. So you get an idea what the peatland looks like. And they make products from it. So these baskets are woven from this Purun reed. So again, it's groups of women that primarily are involved with Purun. This is a product for sale. It's a straw. It's eco-friendly straw because it's a plant, and they sell it primarily in Indonesia to large markets. And next slide, we help them with the technology because they were manually cleaning the straws, which was taking a huge amount of time. So we provided them with this little machine, which very quickly cleans the straw so that they can produce a higher volume of product every day. And they sell up to like 3,000 straws. The interesting thing about Purun, it's a crop. It grows. It's very sustainable. So it's not detracting or damaging the environment in any way. So the other livelihood that we work with is rubber. And there's rubber everywhere where we work. But it's not being utilized, mainly because the price that people are getting is quite low. So we've been focusing on the market and also on improving the quality of the product, of the latex that people produce. So normally they produce what they call wet rubber. So it's got a very high moisture content and it fetches quite a low price. So we've introduced technology that allows them to produce dry rubber with a lower water content, and also to connect them directly to the factory. So they bypass all the middlemen taking a cut. They get a much higher price. It's almost double what they would get if it was wet rubber. Next slide. And of course, rubber, it's a tree. It grows in the forest. So it's like they don't clear land to plant rubber. They just plant it in between the trees that are existing in the forest. So it's really quite friendly. And now the EU has this regulation about sourcing commodities like coffee, cacao, palm oil, any product that comes from forest land now cannot be sourced from cleared forest. So it puts our rubber farmers, in a very preferential position in terms of the European market. So we're trying to connect to that right now. So last, just a little story about one of the students in the Kalimantan Kids Club. This is Nania Brianti. So next slide. So she, in her off hours, teaches local kids in the community after school. So she helps them with their homework and their studies. So she just does this on a volunteer basis. It's kind of very naturally coming from her. She initiated it. It's a very nice little story about this young student still in high school. Next, I think that, what we also work, in health and education and culture, and governance is very important to us. We have a big focus on strengthening institutions in the community as well as outside with local government. We have provided training to government bureaucrats to improve the way they do things that will end up improving conditions in the villages. So it's really important for us how society functions overall. If everything is working well, then people are benefiting, particularly people at the bottom, community level. And so this is one of our major focuses, is really to try to strengthen institutions, improve the quality of their thinking and of their decision making. And so here we have a group of Dayaks in the forest, because they're surrounded by forest, and they utilize the forest in many different ways. Unfortunately now, with this small scale gold mining, they're cutting a lot of it down. And they're remote, like they have rubber plantations. They cut down because there's gold in the ground, and they wash the soil into the river so to get the gold. So there's a lot of destruction going on, and we're really serious about trying to provide equivalent economic livelihoods to people. And we feel that rubber, if it's properly managed, could be one of those. So that's it for me. I mean, that's kind of the end of my presentation. It's kind of short, but hopefully
Thank
it
you
gives
very
you
much, Bardolph.
a taste. Yeah, gives you a taste.
It is, I mean, gosh, of all the projects, you have a really broad focus. I've always noticed that about your project, and how to try and summarize anything within 15 minutes is a real challenge. So I guess I would like to ask you, on a personal level, what do you think is one of the biggest things you've learned over the last 10 years of doing this project?
Patience,
Mhm.
because it takes a long time to see change happen. I mean, and you know, there's an issue to do with sustainability of funding, because most funding is very short term. You know, like within Susila Dharma, it's 1 year funding, basically, which is great. I mean, I love getting funds through the Susila Dharma network, but realistically, you know, we're looking at like 10-year horizons to see real visible change take place. It doesn't happen quickly. It requires a big effort and a multi-pronged effort. You know, it's not just doing one thing. You have to do a variety of things and work with a variety of stakeholders, not just the villagers, but their own government, the district government. Yeah. So in terms of lessons learned, you know, certainly that's one. Specifically to do with livelihoods, for me and for our organization, the market is now highly important. You know, we cannot ask people to invest their time and money in doing things if there isn't a secure market for it. So, you know, we've been working quite hard on that for the past few years everywhere, but particularly in Bukit Batu. So we've helped foster an organization, an umbrella organization like a co-op that works with groups of farmers to provide services, to provide technical services, material inputs, as well as access to credit. And with the proviso that they sell their products through the organization. And that's the most challenging thing that we're really struggling with.
Because the temptation is for them to sell it elsewhere, you mean?
They have relationships with middlemen who have loaned them money. They're kind of bonded to them. And there may be family relationships involved in that as well.
Bardolph, one question. Who are your sponsors and donors beside KSK? Is it difficult to find donors for your projects over the many years?
Well, we're very grateful for the wonderful donors within the Susila Dharma network, like the UK and US and Canada. Yeah, so we're very grateful. For me, that's kind of special money, because I know it comes from SUID members. But in addition to that, you know, we have quite a variety of funding sources, like with the small scale gold mining, you know, that was most recently coming from the government of Korea. But there's the United Nations, the Environment Program and Development Program that have been providing funding in that sector. We also have received funding from USAID, from the US government, for a social forestry project that we did a few years ago. And so there's these multilateral, you know, like UN, and then countries, the US, Canada. We had a big project with Canada for a while. And Danica from Denmark, the aid agency. So, and then there's like foundations, Ford Foundation, different foundations, and also GHSP funded us for a while as well. specifically to do with governance.
Yeah, I just want to say, Bardolph, I always love the way YTS thinks about things. And the statement that you made that we really need to be conscious if we're asking farmers to put their time and effort in, that it connects to a market. No one is going to do something that they cannot, at the end of the day, sell the product, that there's no market. And I love also the innovation side. Like, you did the innovation with the mercury recapturing. Now you do the innovation with the tool to clean the straw out so they can produce more straws more quickly. On the topic of social enterprise, I noticed we had, or I don't know if we still have Lucas Horton from SES on the call.
Yeah, sure, I'm here.
Yeah, hi. Just, is there an opportunity here for anyone to help the cooperative find markets for these straws? Everyone uses straws. In Canada, everyone is using straws. Sometimes they're cardboard straws that get soggy really easily. Is there an opportunity here, sorry, for us to work to support YTS's initiatives by helping to connect, find markets for these products?
Well, I feel very privileged to have been on this call, and I've been very impressed with what I hear is going on through the Susila Dharma network around the world. I think there are many aspects. This is where I promoted to Conrad. I feel that there is a mindset that SES can help to encourage and help to show practical ways whereby people who have made the effort to start something where they can scale this up and to make it more effective and to make it more applicable in a number of different areas. I think your straw project, that sounds great. And I think the first instance, I'd like to try and get a hold of some of these so that we could assess on an international market where these might go. So yeah, I'm very happy to have been part of this, and I'll have long discussion with Conrad and others on how we might work with Susila Dharma and Susila Dharma projects. To specifically, our aim is to produce capital projects which generate long-term income for social benefit. This is exactly the sort of thing I think Susila Dharma needs. You've got great projects, but what you don't have is this long-term funding source that you can rely on and you can expand projects to. So this is something which I think over the course of this next few years, I feel very positive that we can work with Susila Dharma and your project to develop.
That would be great, Lucas. Thank you.
May I say something? Because I just see.
I was also hoping for an answer from Bardolph.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Actually, I was going to say something, about carbon. For us working on peatland, it's a massive cache of carbon that is attracting carbon investors. So and they typically it's like 25 years, the program with a carbon investor. So we've been just talking to an Australian investor about working in some of the communities where we have, like in one, there's 8,000 hectares of social forestry on peatland. So they're very interested in using that as a resource for investment, and very willing to provide all the technical support and community support over like a 25-year period. So that's something that it would be great to have some business brains in Subud working on. Kalimantan has the largest amount of peatland in Indonesia. And Indonesia has one of the largest amounts in the world. So it's very attractive to these investors.
So the objective, Bardolph, is to keep the peatland intact because it is a sponge for sucking up the carbon. Yeah.
And to restore it.
And to restore it
improve
and to
Yes.
render it productive in some way, right?
Because it's been really severely degraded.
Howard, you've had your hand up for a while.
Thank you, Vincent. Yeah, some of those questions that have been asked are very broad and it's very, very interesting. And this one, I'm afraid, is a bit narrow. But just to ask Bardolph, he alluded to the fact that some of the Dayak villages are taking down the forest completely and degrading the soil just to wash out the gold. I can visualize the situation because I've seen some of the other gold mining, artisanal gold mining in action, so I know what's involved or have some idea. But it's a horrifying prospect. And how widespread is this? Is there actually place of gold in or whatever it's called in all these extensive areas of sand that underlie the forest, or is it locally only available? And how widespread could this problem of deforestation and soil removal be? It's got to be stopped, obviously, if it's going to be. It could be disastrous, couldn't it?
Well, it is disastrous already. It's been going on for decades. And
I
there's
wasn't aware of that, yeah.
tens of thousands of hectares of forest land has been destroyed.
Yeah,
And-
but just by
and-
artisanal miners, for artisanal miners, yeah?
Yeah.
I thought it was mostly a bigger scale operators, right?
Well,
Okay.
now, what's happening is you get excavators coming in. So it's not just people gold panning, which is very, very low impact.
Hmm.
They were using sluices before with high-powered hoses,
Yeah,
but now they have excavators, which just speeds up the whole process enormously.
and they can do this and will do this anywhere where they can.
Yeah, with collusion. I mean, the problem is, they do get support from people of influence.
Right, horrifying.
Yeah. I mean, and I talked to a farmer, I visited him in the forest, and he had a huge pit, which used to be a rubber plantation, his rubber field. And he said, I didn't really want to do this, but because the price of rubber was so low, I had no choice.
Yeah.
So this is why we're really trying to revive the rubber market.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, thank you for carrying on doing all that valuable work with the communities there, Bardolph. It really
You're welcome.
makes me feel
Yeah.
good that we can support that. I'd like us
Thank
to
you.
move on to have Valley from Anisha in India, because time is marching on and it'll be really nice to hear from Valley. So
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening to everyone. Can you hear me?
yes,
Yeah, I was just wondering. Okay. It's nice meeting you all. I request Margarita to share my presentation.
did you say you would like Margarita to
Margarita,
share?
can you share the
Yeah.
presentation?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just forwarded to Isidro because I cannot share from where I am right now.
Okay,
Okay.
go
Okay.
ahead.
Nice,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Then
Can I send
I
it?
can.
Isidro
Okay.
can too.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
I got you,
Yeah,
Valley.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Anisha started in 1999. It's a small history background I want to give in Bangalore. So based on our work, like we continue to work in the urban city. And when we involved in one of the research and we found the root cause is agriculture is not productive. So farmers are migrating from rural to urban. So that's how we land up in the rural part to address the root cause of the farmers. So in 2016, we started the rural project and started to work with the small and marginal farmers, training them, giving an alternative to chemical farming, like organic farming, to train, like to prepare their own compost, own fertilizers, like organic fertilizers and organic pesticides. So for several years, we worked with the farmers and the landless families on kitchen garden with the women, and also we conserve the native seeds. So after a few years, then we thought, okay, why can't we go and work with the school children, with the farmers' children, because they are the future generation. So basically in 2013, we did a pilot project, and it was very successful with the school children. And from 2016 onwards, we are working with several school children. So this year, since, yeah, and we reached more than 57 schools and covered more than 4,000 students since 2016. Yeah. Our objective is to create an awareness on the importance of kitchen garden to school students and their families, and also to enable their families to grow their own vegetables in their home garden by using the traditional local seeds. This is basically to address the malnutrition and nutrition deficiency of the rural children and their families.
Vali, sorry,
Yeah.
could I ask you to just speak a little bit slower? Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, okay, fine.
Thank
Okay.
you. It's just our interpreters are trying to follow what you're saying.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Okay. And the activities, what we are doing with the school children is like basically like first we go and orient the students at the schools. The grade we start from 7th grade to 10th grade. These are the children's whom we target. And by using the posters and videos basically, and the documentary films which we prepared based on our experience for several years. So we show them what are the impacts the chemical farming has on human, animals, and on soil, and also on our environment. And after the orientation, it's a half-a-day orientation which we give to the students. Then the second step is we do the demonstration at the schools. We show the children how to do a simple gardening method by using the permaculture method. And we use whatever the local resources available in the school campus. So by using that material, we do the bedding methods and do show them how to build a garden in their homes. And also they have to maintain the school garden. And third, we do the monitoring of the students' garden. So our team visits the school students' gardens, and they guide them if there is any problem in growth or pest or disease. So like that. And finally, we do the yield estimation, like how much they have grown, what types of vegetable plants. So and also the seeds for all these children, we give from Anisha Seed Bank. And also we train them how to save the local seeds for next season, so that they won't depend on Anisha every year for seed. So basically we educate the children, the students, to grow organically by using native seeds and to sustain by themselves if there is any problem in pest or disease, so that they can sustain in future. They won't depend on others. So these are the activities which we do with the school children. And these are the photos which the orientation at the school level. We find many challenges when we go to the schools. There won't be any current. We don't have proper facilities. Even in some schools, they don't have projectors. So everything we carry, like for current, we carry the generator, small generator, and the laptop, like whatever materials we require when we go to the schools. Yeah, this is the garden demonstration. Actually, this particular school is located next to the forest, and the school doesn't have any compound, and all livestock grazing, goat, cow, everything they graze in the school compound campus only. So then the school decided, instead of doing it in the ground, we will do it on the terrace, because they have a small portion of the terrace. So we use that place to grow. So this is like we use the in India, we get the rice bags, in 25 kg bags. So we source the bags and we filled with the compost, like dry waste and the papers generated from the school. So that we mixed everything and we filled with the rice bags, and you can see the stage by stage. And this school is not generating more vegetables, but the students learn even if they don't have place in their homes, they can do the gardening. Yeah. This is the second school. In this school, they have compound, gate, water facilities, everything. And this is on the ground we are doing. You can see the site selection, photo 1. They use the students used to dig the soil and prepare it. And permaculture method, like bedding method, it's a keyhole method we used in this school. And the third photo, they added the compost and they're doing sowing. And the fourth, all the greens, because the greens, when the sowing is done, like tomato, eggplant, okra, like different varieties of seeds are sown, so that like one comes first, like the greens comes first. Second, they'll get radish. Then they'll get some cluster bean. So like gradually, one by one, vegetables they get. So the fourth photo, the greens are ready for harvesting, and the students are harvesting and they are giving to the kitchen. In every school, there is in government school, government is providing free midday meals. So whatever vegetables they grow in the school garden, so that they use it for the midday meals. So everyone share and they eat the fresh vegetables at the school also. And the next one, yeah, this is like we do the monitoring. Our team visits the students' home garden, and they suggest, they give guidance, and also make a document like at what stage the vegetable plants are growing, whether they had any problem, anything, and how much yield they got. Basically, we suggest the students, because here we are not getting much rainfall. So the rainfall is very less. And during the monsoon only we'll get some rain. After that, it's a dry season. To get drinking water itself is very hard. So we suggest the students to grow wherever they wash the vessels, there some moisture will be there. And basically in the rural part, they take bath outside only. So there also some moisture will be there. So the garden is not done in one place, like say 10 by 10 or 20 by 20. So wherever the water access is there, so there they put the garden and they start growing. You can see the first photo, it's a washing place. They wash the clothes and vessels. And the second photo is also like that. So in that way, the selection of site is also done waste, wherever waste space is there and waste water is there, in that way. Yeah, the first photo you can see the pumpkin. We observed many students like the creeper varieties, because they have the problem of goat, chicken, cow. So all these things, like many families have all these three livestock. So to avoid from them, to protect from them, everybody likes, like they want the creeper varieties. So we give creeper. Along with that, we also give the greens, radish, okra, because only creeper varieties is not sufficient for them. So we add other different varieties. So the first photo, they're holding the pumpkin, and the second is the greens, and you can see the different varieties of vegetables. And the third photo, the women is standing. They have very little space, and they want to protect from the chickens and the goats. So they use the old saris to protect from the cows and goats. And the fourth photo is also the boy. He used the green mesh to cover the garden. So everywhere, it has become the practice for the students to protect their garden by using the old saris of their mothers or sisters, or sometimes they get from their neighbors also. This is the way of protecting. And it's very interesting to see, like each one used the different methods. And one boy, he used the mosquito net to cover the garden. So it's interesting to see. And the yield, whatever the yield estimation here I have given is the last year's yield, because the present gardening project is going on now, only the yield started coming. So I cannot give the full estimations. So here, like each student, our target is like minimum 10 to 15 kg they have to grow. So everything is monitored. And sometimes some students, they grow more than 100 kg also. Like pumpkins and bottle gourd and all, if they do the sowing near the compost pit, they get a lot of yield. So last year, one boy got more than 200 numbers of pumpkin. So in that way, like the totally last year, it was 1,600 students who did the gardening. And out of that, like 12,987 kgs of vegetables was generated. And like each family has generated like minimum 10 to 15 kgs. And they have saved, this calculation is like, we converted the vegetables like per kg of okra, how much, the present rate. And the cluster bean, how much, like that, we calculated. And last year they said like 5,95,717. In dollar, it's like 7,446 rupees they saved. Around 1,603 students have saved this much of money. And also we teach the students how to save the seeds, because it's a native seeds, and every time they can save the seeds and they can use it. If it's a hybrid, only once they can use it. So we don't want them to use the hybrid seeds. So we give the seeds from the seed bank and ask them to save seeds. At the same time, they have to return some seeds to the seed bank. So based on that condition, we give the seeds. The first photo, you can see it's an okra plant. The seed is dry, because the seed has to dry in the plant only. Then only they can collect it for the seeds. So first was the okra. And the second, she has saved so many varieties of seeds. And a lot of seeds last year she gave to Anisha. You can see butter sponge, okra, 3 types of okra she displayed, and the creeper bean and the double bean, and so many varieties she saved. And these seeds she brought to school to share it with other friends and also to give to Anisha. And the third photo, these girls, they said pumpkin and the ridge gourd. And the fourth, you can see this, like we keep one day, we tell all the students to bring whatever seeds they have saved to give it to Anisha. So everyone will bring their seeds, and on that day they give it. It's like sharing between the students, and also they contribute to Anisha. Yeah, sustainability practice. It's like we are educating the students and their families the importance of organic kitchen garden. So that itself makes sustainable, because we are not giving anything for them. So we are educating the families and the students so that they can continue even in our absence, because we can't work with them like for several years. So for 3 years, we work with particular schools, and then we move on to other schools. So basically to educate them. And also we teach the students like how to do the gardening, composting, how to control the pest, and all this comes in the education process itself, and to conserve the seeds, and how to convert the waste materials into the composting, like simple method of composting. All those things they learn in 3 years when we work in particular schools. So this itself makes them sustainable, not to depend on others. And like earlier, they didn't have much habit of consuming the other types of vegetables. During the agriculture season, whatever greens are available in the farmland, only those they were consuming, and the remaining vegetables they were not consuming. So we have created the habit to consume all different types of vegetables, which they can grow and consume. And initially, they started to grow vegetables only for 3 months, from July, August, September, October. Then gradually we increase, like, okay, one season, okay, fine. Next season, you should continue the garden. So in that way, now they have extended the garden from 1 season to 2 season, like 3 to 8 to sometimes they grow even in summer also if they have a good water source. So that depends upon the water source. And also the land, the space, initially they do it in a small place wherever they get the moisture or water access. And gradually they increase the gardening space because they feel that they want more vegetables and the regular vegetables the families needs. So they have increased the space, gardening space, extended more also, so that they get more quantity of vegetables with good quality of chemical-free vegetables. Last year, we found that some students are selling excess vegetables. And one boy, we gave radish seed. So he has sown and their family consumed. And he found that radish is coming very fast. And it's so then he brought seeds from shop actually. He started growing more quantity and he sold the radish and he brought one watch for himself. So which was very much interesting for us because many times they sell it and they use to buy pencil or books or like in that way. But this boy, like he brought the watch. It was very interesting for us. And also the students' families, they started growing vegetables for market purpose. One for the home consumption and for the market. They found it's very, in vegetables, they can get more money. So they increased the land and they started growing coriander and radish, greens, like that for the market purpose. So when we go to the house visits, we discuss with the parents. So we tell them, okay, why can't you do it in like extend the space in that way? And also we tell them to implement in their own farm if they have. So they said, okay. And they start doing in a small portion again. Oh, this is very interesting. And one, we are saving money buying, we are not buying vegetables. And the second thing, like, okay, excess what we can do. Instead of just giving it to the neighbors or, so we will sell it. We sell it to the neighbors or within the village we are selling. So in that way, like many parents have taken this as a business also. So which was very interesting for us. And since several years of our work, we found that few students are opting for like going for agriculture study and horticulture education for further educations. One girl from Ponnachi, it's a remote village. I think Amina remembers. So when they came for the visit, myself, Amina and Merlin, we went to that girl's house and she gave all buttermilk and other things. And so that particular girl, now she's doing horticulture. So there is the change in the mindset is also there with the students. Yeah. Long-term benefits for the community. One, they're consuming chemical-free or poison-free vegetables. And like frequently they used to go for hospitals, that cost is also reduced. And whenever we discuss with the students, they tell, oh, now we are not going. Okay, for everything they were going, but now okay, in the sense. So the hospital expense is also reducing. And to continue the gardening, they're not investing any money. If they save the seeds, the native seeds, they can continue with that. They're not spending money on that. Simultaneously, they can sell the seeds also. So they can sell the native seeds also if they save more seeds. So we told many students, if they have excess seeds, we will buy it. So Anisha will buy from the students also. So that process also we are doing to encourage them, and they can produce as a seed. Instead of selling it as a vegetable, they can sell as a seed. They get more money in that way. So these are the long-term benefits. And students saving seeds. At the same time, even at the schools also save seeds for their garden. They also not depending on Anisha like every year. So they also save seeds, and they also donate or contribute to excess seeds to Anisha. So you can see the first photo. It's one of the government school, government higher primary school students. They saved ridge gourd, bottle gourd, and many other seeds they have given to Anisha Seed Bank. These are the seeds last year students contributed to Anisha Seed Bank. So at Anisha, we have a water problem. We cannot produce more seeds. We mainly depend on rain-fed. It's very difficult for us to produce more seeds. So when the students support us, so the seeds again goes back to the students for next year. So yeah, till date, we have covered 57 schools and reached 4,000 students and their families. In phase 1, we covered 23 schools, and in phase 2, 34 schools we are working. So that ends next March 2025. So this is the students collect the seeds at the school and they're drying it. Yeah, thank you very much. I have taken a long time. If you have any questions, please.
Thank you very much, Vali. It's really wonderful to see you again after all these years and to see what you've been doing with this kitchen garden project over the last, it's 4 or 5 years now, isn't it?
From 2016, 7 years.
7 years now, wow. And it's really developed with the funding support you've had from the Guru Krupta Foundation, isn't that right?
Yeah, Guru Krupa Foundation since 2016 they are supporting, and they started with the $10,000. Now this year they supported till 14,000, and also Chok Family Foundation from German through SD German, they are also supporting the same amount. And like shortage of funding, like Anisha contributes in a small way, and also SD German supports, and George Helmer from Subud Woodstock, USA. So they are also supporting wherever shortage comes, no? So we try to make some adjustments here and there. But one thing, like all these fundings are for 10 months. So we have to hire the staff for 10 months, and again, they discontinue for 2 months. Again, we reappoint after we get the funding. So it's not like every time we find difficult, because the same staff cannot be continued now. They feel like, okay, 2 months gap where we can go and work. So that problem is there. And also if we get like funding for 3 years or 4 years, regular funding continuously, we can do a lot of work. With the limited staff, with the limited period of 10 months, it's like really tough job for us. Yeah, but we are very happy to work.
Yeah. Would you be able to share your presentation with everyone, Vali? Because I think there are other people in the Sati from the BCU school would be very interested to have it. I think that they would like to share it with their students. But I think other people around the network would also find it really interesting to see.
Yeah, I was there for the full presentation. I was there. Starting from Daniela and Michael, I was there.
No,
could you share?
Asking,
like,
Vali, if you can share it with the group.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
It's Isidro who has it now, so he can share it with the group.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would ask you a question about what have you personally learned from this? Just one significant thing, because obviously you've learned a lot, but what can you think of that has really struck you the most, Vali?
In the month of September and October, we don't have rain. So that is the stage where the yield starts coming. June full orientation goes, and end of the June only the sowing is done. So July, August, September. So major vegetable yield starts coming from August end to September onwards. So during that time, when there is lack of rain, so that two months we have very tough time. Every year it worries us. So this year also the same thing happened. In few places they had good this thing. And it's a challenging, every year it's a challenging, every day is challenging for us from leaving this project for 2 months gap. That is a big thing.
Yeah. Amina, go ahead.
I would like to greet Vali and Rajan. It's wonderful to see you here. And I want to commend you on all the work that you have done to get to this point. I've had the enormous blessing of going on 4 different occasions to Anisha. So I've seen the progress and I know how much work it is. And you are to be commended for all that you've accomplished.
Thank you.
Emilia?
Felicitaciones, este proyecto me parece muy interesante y yo creo que tenemos que ir comenzando a ver colaboraciones. Nosotros como Vivir estamos trabajando en unión con el Programa Mundial de Alimentos y estamos trabajando en un proyecto que se llama Comidas Escolares. Las comidas escolares estamos comenzando con 27 escuelas. Y ya estamos dando comidas mucho más saludables y estamos promoviendo los huertos en las escuelas. Yo creo que este programa de semillas que estoy oyendo podría ser muy valioso incorporar en esta propuesta. Entonces, yo quisiera, pues después, a través de Virginia, conversar un poquito para ver cómo podemos trabajar en este plano, ya que estamos comenzando en una provincia, pero hemos logrado coordinar junto con el Programa Mundial de Alimentos a que el Ministerio de Educación, por un lado, y algunos municipios del país se comiencen a incorporar en estas comidas escolares. Ya estamos dando, y son las escuelas más vulnerables de las áreas rurales, en las cuales estamos incorporando también productos de la zona. Entonces me pareció sumamente interesante, incluso un trabajo con los niños, porque nosotros trabajamos con toda la comunidad escolar y ya estamos dando las comidas. Vivir se ha encargado de diseñar los menús y ya estamos probando que si los menús les están gustando y sí estamos teniendo respuesta. Para que también haya una satisfacción, estamos trabajando en educar con una metodología que se llama Cocinas Vivas a los padres de familia y educadores para que puedan ir entendiendo la importancia de una diversidad de alimentos, de una comida más saludable en la escuela, que está reemplazando a la comida que antes daba el gobierno, que era nada saludable. Entonces, yo pienso que me interesó montones cómo incorporar esta propuesta en el trabajo que estamos haciendo. Muchas gracias y felicitaciones. Me alegro estar en esta reunión.
Muchas gracias, Emilia. Maybe I could just give a quick translation for Vali, who maybe didn't have time to switch to the interpretation. So Emilia is saying Emilia leads a project called Asociación Vivir, and she's very interested in collaborating with you because she has been working on a project with the World Food Program on school feeding, homegrown school feeding, where they are giving children in the schools menus. They develop menus for the families and the schools based on locally produced food products that are more healthy, so that children develop a taste for healthy foods that are grown with foods that are grown locally. And so she and promoting a diversity of local consumption of local foods, and she would be interested in communicating with you and collaborating with you to integrate your methodology of having the kids grow the food into this methodology that she's working on with the government, with World Food Program, and different municipalities in Ecuador. ¿Sí es así, Emilia?
Sí,
Okay, so we put you in
creo que
touch.
lo importante es que estamos también promoviendo los huertos escolares y yo creo que el programa de semillas que acabo de oír podría ser muy, muy bueno incorporarlo en este trabajo.
She says that they're incorporating the school kitchen gardens in their work, but the collection of seeds is something that would also be very interesting for them to integrate into their work.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Please do.
Because Vali, you have this manual describing for children and very nicely drawn up all the steps needed, to create a garden and to cultivate the earth and to put out the seeds and the saplings and to harvest and so on. Maybe this could be sent to Iliana.
Yes, we could translate the manual.
Excelente.
Yeah.
The link is good.
Yeah, I can send you. Actually, for SD German, I have sent Hanny. I don't know whether they did translation in German. Maybe.
No, but you have it in English, no?
Yeah, I have English. I can send you the copy.
Yes, and then we
Thank
send
you.
to Iliana Garçon because, or to maybe Virginia doesn't have it either.
Thank you.
No, not Virginia. Yeah, I'll send it. Actually, that manual is very helpful for the students.
Yes,
So
and it's
yeah.
Thank you. We can translate it into Spanish. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Giving all the credit to Anisha, of course.
Yeah.
Puesto.
Thank you.
Amina, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. When I was in Anisha at one time, Valley and Rajan had invited school children to come with their vegetables to Anisha, where they all built these cooking fires, and they cooked their vegetables and made a wonderful lunch for all of us. And I think that is also a very useful thing for the children to experience, to get beyond the growing portion of this education and how to use those vegetables. And of course, I think Valley was also commenting on the fact that sometimes the children didn't eat the vegetables. So the whole point was to get them used to having more vegetables in their diet. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what a wonderful way to do that, to encourage them to taste more delicious vegetables by growing them themselves.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. One thing I want to share. This year in one of the school, one small boy, he's 8 year, I think 8th standard, I remember. He's a diabetic patient. And when the garden was started, both here, he and his brother, both of them are in the same, like 8th and 9th grade something. So they told after getting training rigorously, they are growing vegetables and every day we are consuming. So we were so happy, like earlier they were not consuming much, but now they came to know the importance of the vegetables. And this boy, he said, yeah, even though we have water problem or chicken problem, whatever problem, but we are growing. So at least every day, 1 or 2 vegetable, even single vegetable piece also, it's there in the curry. So that was, it's like some of the inspiring stories are there. And even teachers, like one teacher was telling, she was sitting in our orientation class. After end of the class, she was telling, oh, you should have come earlier to our school. Because she is taking vitamin injection like monthly once. So these type of stories comes when we go to the field. So then we feel like the issues what we have taken is very important in our daily life, because it's not like once in a while we eat, because every day we eat maybe 3 times or 2 times. Without vegetable, there is no food in our plate. So really it's like, I feel like it's a passion now. Like food is very important for us, food security.
Well, you've inspired me to go and make a nice salad.
Yeah.
I think also on the topic of food waste, when we grow our own food, we don't waste it because we know how much effort goes into it. And it somehow becomes a little sacred, that because we have labored over it. And I think that's very important for children also to understand. Helena was asking about our societies. When everything comes in a package, it maybe loses some of the intrinsic value. So just in our societies, maybe we would waste less food if at least part of it was grown by our own hands.
Definitely.
Well, everybody, I think we've done remarkably well. We've gone for 2.25 hours. I think we really owe a huge thank you to all of our speakers, our presenters, and to all of our interpreters. Thank you so much. And to all of those who've organized this in the Susila Dharma team, Isidro, Margarita, Virginia. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Vincent. And we're going to take this forward. Helena, don't think that you're going to get away with now not being part of a group working on how to integrate this into our own lives. We will, we are already starting a little group on this. So let's take it forward, because it's, as you say, it's not just for India and Indonesia and Ecuador, but it's also in our own societies. So important. Lucia Marks, by the way, who has sat with us from the beginning on the Pacific Coast, is doing work in Portland that could really inspire us all on food and community. So there's so many good examples in our network, both in the North and the South. So thank you so much, everybody, for hanging in there.
Shall we finish on a moment of quiet? I think it's a nice way to reflect.
Yeah, one thing I want to say, is it possible to have one more session, like how to grow our food on that issue? Whoever
Okay.
is interested, they can join.
Sounds like a very good idea, Vali.
Thank you very much.
Let's have a moment of quiet to finish now. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us, for sharing. Go well in your days and nights and mornings.
Thank you, Daniela and Sebastian and Miranda and all our interpreters. Bless you. You guys were so patient and so good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.